Hey guys, Asher Comanche today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. I'm glad to have you all here. Today, it is the free champion chase. All you gotta do is log in to get this dude, well, 7 days over the next couple months as part of the Call of the Arbiter series. Really exciting stuff. It is Artak, Galec's dad, Artak. So what I'm gonna do today is a little bit different than we've ever done here before on the channel. You may notice this video is probably the longest that we have thus far here on the Champion Guide channel. What I want to do is I put out so much content the last 2 days on this champion, and there's been a lot of new findings along the way as well. So what I want to do is I want to pick out my 3 best builds. I'm going to include that information for you guys. I'm also going to include bonus information in terms of what does not work on this champion, because I see a lot of players building him, well, wrong, I guess, just totally wasting artifacts on this champion that do not apply to him. And I also want to talk about why stun works so well on this champion, really kind of get into the language there, including an excerpt from my interview with Saf. That plus all the lore of this champion as well, so really a one-stop shop for everything you want to know about this free legendary champion. But before we get into all of that, here is some shout-outs. With John Official Cook here, he says, hey Ash, just finished the Artax and also pulled Sandlash Survivor. Want to see guides on these 2 champions. Sandlash coming soon. We have Sus. Just got Artak Day 7. Want to know what's your take on this champion? Well, TLDR, I think he's amazing. Very, very, very good champion. Help out anybody and everybody who pulls him. I use him in the end-to-end game. And then, of course, I feel like every new player in the world, anybody, struggling or working on progression in this game is definitely going to have a use case for this dude in one of the 3 builds, or maybe a different build that I show you guys today. We have Mateus Murgo Ribeiro says, hey, Ash, for the first time, I don't want to see Harrier. I want to see the new Artak. This dude looks amazing. I dare you doing the first guide on him. Much love. I'm not sure if I get the first guide. It's all about being good information, robust information, not necessarily first, but, we are pretty soon after the champion was released. Muhammad Amin Khan, since everyone's getting a new legendary, hope to see a guide on him soon. And then we have Virtual Bunsky. Appreciate the kind words, man. What do you say? Artak, Frenzy and Fury sets he wants to see. Well, I don't want to, let's just get into it here. Let's just get into it. Frenzy and Fury sets do not work. I mean, they work, but they don't work in the way you think they'd work. So if we see there's a visual bug right now on Artak, so let me go ahead and jump into Spider. I have him built right now just to illustrate, to demonstrate. I have him in a Frenzy set. Have I used him super recently? I've been doing all my dailies and stuff. Yeah, kind of recently. I have him in a Frenzy set plus 10% turn meter for every 5% HP lost, okay? So in a Frenzy or a Fury, he's not like a Nogdar who the self-sacrifice charges up his turn meter. It's not like that, unfortunately. Here, let me show you him in Spider 25. And I will demonstrate. So Spider 25, where he's just an incredible burner. Let's go ahead and put him on the burn team here, right? Check this out. So a Nogdar, any champion is sacrificing HP, you'll see a massive turn meter boost, obviously, when they go in. Here we go, right? So he's going to go in here. Now, okay, see, look at that. You see his turn meter, his health went all the way to 0, nilch, nada, 1. That's a visual bug. But even if it's at 50%, his actual HP right now, he should have a full turn meter and more, right? Does not, even though he's built very, very fast and he has an amazing passive that does boost up his speed. But, he has to actually take the damage from an enemy, not vis-a-vis his passive and how that works in a Frenzy or a Fury. So unfortunately, that's not what we're looking for on this champion. But still, I mean, you guys saw how incredible this team was, right? Like, it can be a part of many different compositions in terms of speed teams. I'm going to show you guys this. He's in a Frenzy set right now, as you guys just saw, right? I'm going to show you this, and we're going to talk about it more when we have some of the Saf interview in just a moment here. But, look at this dude. And this isn't a Frenzy, but he's not getting any benefit from the Frenzy. This is all coming off of his passive. You can see that burning blood, trigger, trigger, trigger. That's increasing his speed. It's increasing his damage, increasing his resistance. It's increasing his defense. It's just an amazing passive. Now, look at this, guys. Look at his turns here. He's just going to keep getting turn after turn after turn. It's really insane. And this is partially due to the bug, but look at this guy. I mean, Look at how many turns he's getting. He just keeps going and going like the Energizer Bunny over here, man. Very, very cool stuff from this champion. And like, it's cool for him to solo. You know, I mean, soloing Minotaur is not going to be his claim to fame, but the fact that he can do it with such ease and speed is extremely, I don't know, noteworthy, considering he has an artifact set on. It's not regen, it's not immortal, it's not lifesteal, it's not keeping him alive, it's not doing anything barely, you know. He needs to get hit to get that turn meter increase. So yeah, sure, it will work on him like it will work on any champion who's hit with a lot of damage. Lightning off, or what is this? What is it? No, close it, get out of here. Okay, I want to go through his lore right now, guys, and then we're going to jump right into some of the, we'll just start with the artifact sets, the 3 different builds, and then we're going to move into, so we're going to do a Hydra build, we're going to do a stun control build, we're going to do a kind of solo duo build, regen, immortal, relentless. We'll have it all for you guys today. Of course, nothing wrong with just run this dude in like triple set, you know, perception as well. So guys, before I throw the builds at you all, I do want to note that champion lore will be at the end of this video. I just started to actually read it, and now I'm going to edit it to the end because it is going to take me about 5 at least minutes to get through. I know not all of you guys clicked on this video just to hear me read lore for 5 minutes. So stay tuned for this at the end of today's video, and I will see you there. Enjoy the builds. Chaos Razor's A1 attack attacks all enemies, has a 45% chance when booked to extend the duration of any HP burn debuffs on each target by 1 turn. So we're starting off on a really positive note here, an HP burn extender on an AoE on his A1 ability. Now, I want to touch on something right now before we even get to the masteries and the build on this champion. See how it says buff, debuff, chance plus 5%? That means it's coded in a way that this is being treated, this extension is being treated like a debuff in the game, which means that the sniper mastery will take this to 50%. I think it's really important to point that out kind of out the gate here on this champion. On the A2, Dogs of War, 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on each enemy, has a 100% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Okay, now we're cooking here. I mean, new players, mid-game players, end-game players, everybody's going to be able to take advantage of this ability. We have instant activation of burns before attacking and the decreased attack at 100% land rate when booked. Before anybody asks, definitely worth booking this champion. He is it's hard to compare him and Ninja and Ronda and Ultimate Death Knight, really, because UDK changed a lot of accounts out there. I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but UDK is very good. He's more than just an arena champion. He can solo like half the content in the game, dungeon content in the game. But I digress. UDK, very good. Ronda, very, very good as well. A lot of damage, great in the arena, great as a nuker pretty much anywhere. Block passive skills as well. And Ninja obviously is the king of activation, but Artak has it on an AoE, which is really cool too, and he extends it. Speaking of that AoE, on a 3-turn cooldown, another ×2 hitter. First hit, placing the burn on all enemies for 2 turns, restores this champion's destroyed max HP by 10% for each HP burn debuff placed by this skill. Heals this champion by 5% of their max HP for each HP burn debuff blocked, or resisted by the enemy team. So he's got a built-in kind of heal and recouping his destroyed max HP, which is going to be important because that's going to pertain to his passive. Now, look at this, a double hitter. We made a video quoting a Saf's video from Hell Hades Network YouTube channel and Gaming Network. Basically, the way this is coded, it's kind of a shame that we have to get into the way things are coded to fully understand a champion. But if you're in a stun set, which is going to be the control build in this champion, this has 2 chances, similar to Mighty Uko's A2 ability, of placing a stun because there's 2 effects happening on 2 hits. So noteworthy there. Again, 3-turn cooldown. On the passive, Burning Blood. I can't wait to see this one in action, guys. Whenever an HP burn debuff is activated, destroys this champion's max HP by 5%. Of course, he's restoring some of that on the A3, right? Stacks up to 50%. So why would we want destroyed max HP? That makes no sense, right? Well, increases champion's crit damage, crit damage, and defense by 1% for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. Also increases this champion's speed and resistance by 2 for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. What? Dude, that sounds bonkers good. That sounds sick. Think of it this way. Speed by 2 for each 1% of destroyed max HP. If we have 50%, that bumps our speed by 100? Well, that's pretty freaking nasty. Sign me up for that. So build number 1 is going to be Hydra build. So let's go ahead and jump right to it here, guys. I mean, you know me, right? All my favorite Hydra, not all, most, 80% of my favorite Hydra clan boss champions, I build them in Relentless sets. So, of course, that's how I have him built. Let me go ahead and try to find this dude. Man, finding champions in this game, the more they release and the more ascension and empowerment re-ranks them in your little whatever selection menu, the harder they are to find. They have his lore all locked and loaded, I hope. Yes, they have. We're not going to read all the lore today. We'll save that for the we'll do a guide on the Champions Guide YouTube channel that I have, Raid Shadow Legends Champions Guide, where we kind of go in depth on the lore a little bit more on the Call of the Avatar. Today, it's just going to be the Avatar, did I say? The Arbiter? Sorry, guys. I'm a little excited, and I'm still crying. Allergies. Blame it on the allergies. So anyway, Relentless and Perception, right? Now listen, you could build him in Trip Perception if you wanted to, because speed and accuracy are going to be priorities on this champion, but I love Relentless, and I think it's the way to go. Now, I wanted to say, let me just look at the multipliers really quickly here, thanks to hellhades.com. On the AoE A1, it's a 0.1 multiplier. That's HP multipliers can be kind of funky, but it's not a lot of damage, not much at all on his A1. On his A2, 0.25. Now we're cooking a little bit, right? That's pretty solid. And then we have a 0.14, but it's a 2-time hitter on his A3, okay? So multipliers are pretty good, but a lot of his damage, most of his damage, well, it's hard to say most. I mean, his AoE's everywhere, right? But a lot of his damage is going to be coming from these HP burn activations. Keep that in mind, right? So accuracy is of the utmost important, no matter if you're early game, mid game, late game on this champion. This is going to be kind of an end game build. We're going to try him on Hydra in just a moment here. Let me go through what I have on him right now. HP on the banner. You need accuracy, though. So don't be afraid to go accuracy on the banner, no matter what the build is, if you need it. Crit, we always say, just FYI, again, around 10 to 12 points of accuracy per stage of the dungeon that you're on, okay? Crit damage on the amulet. We got a trip accuracy roll. Sign me up there. And then we have HP on the ring. Now, on this build, I do have crit rate on the Relentless gauntlets. I wanted to build them super fast, right? Super fast in Relentless gear, and I couldn't find, all the gear to work that I wanted to put crit damage on those gauntlets, but he's still going to be hitting pretty hard. We still have around 165% crit damage on this champion. Most importantly, we want to crit cap him at 100%, okay? So we went crit rate on the gauntlets, we went HP, obviously, on the chest, and we went speed on the boots, okay? Again, to reiterate, in terms of priority stats on this champion, accuracy, speed, HP percentage, survivability after that, crit rate, crit damage, you can min-max this champion up the wazoo if you want to, right? Masteries on him, we already spoke about the importance of Sniper on that A1. Also, Master Hexer, obviously extending the durations of the HP burns that we're placing on the A3. It's obvious, but it's noteworthy that we always want to lead in with the A3. I haven't tried him yet, so I don't know the AI, but we want to lead in with the A3, so we're placing the burns before we're activating them, unless we're setting them up with another HP burn champion on the team. Other than that, pretty standard here, right? We went support tree, picked up all the accuracy masteries, sign me up. We went Lore of Steel. We only have one perception set that's going to work with it, but why not? Offense tree, again, pretty basic here. I do want Life Drinker just because I don't know, how squishy he's going to get with that decreasing his HP, even though he's restoring it. He's healing himself. I want to play on the safe side, pick up some Life Drinker as well. Now, when we have him in the stun set later on, I'm going to redo these masteries, and we will go in and pick up Harvest to Spare, and that will help keep him healed up as well. So, let's go in, guys. Let's just do this, right? We have no blessings, obviously, on him. If I did have him awakened, if I do eventually, I'll probably just go with Cruelty. Cruelty's really nice, right? Decreases target's defense by 1% per hit, and then it kind of you can see it goes up as we go here. So I think I would go Cruelty on this champion, or I would go with Brimstone. So those would be my options. For Artak, would definitely want to play around a little bit there, but I found that Cruelty on champions that have a bunch of AoE attacks, it can out damage Brimstone now after the the nerf to Brimstone to Smite. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into Hydra. Stop! I don't want the instant power. Stop! Even it's free. I don't want it. All right, let's go into Clan Boss. Hydra Clan Boss. I've already used my Nightmare key, so we're going to go for Brutal. And then we're going to go in. I have the team already. All I got to do is add him, right? So we're going to see what kind of power we can put out with this team. We got Pytheon, Tuwana Rock, Bivald of the Thorn. Love this dude. Love him. In a Provoke set, I did a video on that build a while ago, or actually like a week ago. And then we have Cupidus and Venus on the team as well. So I think he's going to be a perfect little DPS addition. Plus he's bringing the decreased attack, which is really nice as well, right? All right, guys, so we got Artak on the team. We're ready to go. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right, I'm not going to keep you here, obviously, the entire battle, but he leads off with that HP burn. We got Master Hexer proccing on all 3 of the burns. Sign me up. Got the 3-turn burn there. All right, so here we go. Just setting the table. Again, lockdown Provoke here on Mr. Head of Decay from my man Bivald. Love that build on him, man. Love that build. I'm wondering what he's going to do for damage compared to Venus and Cupidus, who are absolute monsters, right? So, are you guys seeing the damage he's dealing? It's hard to say. I think that might have been his A1 that he just used. I should keep better track, shouldn't I? But let's go ahead and see what happens here. Okay, that's his A3. Again, landing those burns. Ah, we lost the Provoke. Womp womp. It's okay. So we have another burner on the team as well in Venus. So my thoughts are more burns to instantly activate. Sign me up, right? It's not like he's only placing burns or he's only activating burns placed by him, right? So having another burner on the team like a Sissia and Spider, which we'll look at in a little bit as well, will be beneficial. So Tuwana Rock needs to take a couple turns here, get those fears off the team. Okay, that's a little bit better there. There it goes again with that A3. His damage is not bad, but it's not insane either. But then again, he's AoE on every single time he gets a turn, which is really nice to have, right? A lot of AoEs on this team when you look at Bivald, you look at Cupidus, you look at Venus. I mean, we're just hitting them everywhere. And then, of course, the man of the hour in Artak, right? So let's try to keep this Provoke on, or keep this Provoke up, I should say. And keep these debuffs a-rolling, right? So we do have True Fear right now, but it looks like Tuanarok's going to get a turn before him, hopefully. Let's see. And no, he goes. Ah, womp womp. All right. So recovering for a little bit here. Coming back in. There he goes. Finally getting some extra turns, right? Now, if we didn't have this on auto, obviously we could ensure that he's never using that A2 until there's burns up on the enemies, but on all the Hydra heads, I should say. But I think we'll be okay. Okay, there's the A3 landed again. Damage is looking pretty good so far. Decrease attack landing on everybody. Very nice, very nice. That was a quick save on Cupidus there. Again, extra turn there coming in. Oh, a few extra turns. I'm really curious to see, too, if we notice that damage stacking a little bit as we go because of that passive, right? Again, an extra turn there. Comes back in with the A3. Max HP restored there. It is nice that he's restoring it, too, because, you know, and that he's healing himself, right? It's nice that he's HP based, obviously, because, you know, attack based champions, sometimes they're tough to keep alive, but now things are starting to really roll here. Starting to feel the synergy from this team, right? I wouldn't say the best start. I would probably restart it for RNG purposes, but either way, coming right back in there, restoring more HP, See, burns are still active on all of the Hydra heads. So when he comes back in with the A2, things will be looking pretty good. You can see that passive triggering as well on him. Comes back in, another extra turn, comes back in again. Ooh, this is the power of relentless sets on these champions too, guys, right? Okay. Tawana Rock, so good, man. What a champion. Congratulations if you ever get your hands on her. She's like an absolute motor in terms of those cleanses. She got heals on the A1. She has increased speed, increased defense. She's got a block buffs. She's got the debuff spreader. Okay, coming back in there with now at this point, we free Tawana Rock. That was pretty fast. Okay, guys, so I think we've seen a decent amount here. Let's see if the the team can A, stay alive, right? And B, how much damage we can do. So I'll come back at you guys when this one is about finished, and we'll jump into the second build that I have in store for you guys. Be right back. All right, guys, I just wanted to check in here at turn 94. This dude is an absolute monster on Hydra. Let me tell you, we had a little bit of a rocky start, which you guys witnessed, but boy, have things picked up and stabilized in a big, big way. All of those instant activations are no joke. Only downside is he did die once, right? You gotta be careful of that HP, of course. But we have a reviver on the team in Pythion, and everything has been beautiful since then. He was only dead for like a moment, so no big deal there. But man, let's see if we can pull off a couple of these back-to-back turns here. Dog of War goes in, placing those burns. Let's go ahead and activate some of those. 100 turns, 52 million damage, looking really, really good. I'm gonna keep this result. Obviously, right? Just a matter of how high can we get. And I'm just going to let this team run out. I'm very, very curious to see what he does in terms of, against some of these other absolute monsters in terms of damage. So be right back. All right, guys, we just hit 100 million damage, and our guy got eaten. Artak got eaten. Got devoured, man. It hurts. It really hurts. Who knows how much longer this team could go, but I really want to show the rest of the builds before I have to go to sleep tonight. So let's go ahead and end it here. Keep in mind, guys, before we see the totals here, think of all the burns that he activated from Venus and Cupidus in addition to his own. So this is like an all burn synergy, team that we're seeing here. Okay, end battle. Let's see what our man Artak did. This guy is really insane. 29 million damage, man. He put out some DPS, dude. And again, that's all the other activations that he brought to the table as well. In addition to that, Cupidus obviously pulling in a million, or make it 38 million damage as well. So I think it's safe to say that Artak is an S-tier Hydra clan boss champion. Just bringing so much. All the HP burn extensions as well. Not as important on a team like this, obviously. But he's healing himself. I mean, he's doing it all. So we'll keep that result. Guys, let's go ahead and run a quick spider run. I want to see him as a spider burner really quickly before we change builds. All right, guys, so here we are in Spider 25. Threw together a bunch of HP burn and combustors, right? Theodore, Sissia, Artak. We have Cold Tart, we have Kymar as well. Kymar's going to go first. He's going to lead off with the Phantom Fire A1. Then we're going to have Artak go second. He's going to place the burns, right? And then Theodore is going to come in. He is going to extend and instantly activate them. And then Sissia is going to come in, and she's going to go ahead and debuff and then instantly activate as well and decrease the duration of those burns. He's going to come back in. Maybe there'll be something. No, we're going to reset, and then we're going to repeat it all over again. So let's go ahead and do that. So many different ways to run a team like this. Obviously, we could activate using Artak as well. By the way, now's a great time to point out that I am going to get him on my mini account as well. So I'm looking forward to, whoa. That's a lot of damage. Look at his health as well there. Wow. Okay, we come back in with the A2 there, reset cooldowns, and repeat it all over again. Or some semblance of it, right? There we go. And then instant activation, and we're done. Okay, well, not too shabby, Artak. What I was trying to say there, guys, is that Man, that was kind of wild to watch on this HP getting that low too, right? We will have a more free-to-play friendly build. Be on the lookout for that coming very, very soon when I unlock him on my mini account, okay? But wow, that was pretty impressive. So let's go ahead and sell, and you don't need 3 activators on the squad, but I just figured we'd throw them all together because I know some of you guys are going to ask in the comments for a Spider speed run for Spider 25. So not too bad there at all. Of course, we can min-max that as well and get even get even faster, I should say. All right, let me go ahead and rebuild him. And we're going to throw him in kind of the solo build, kind of the Ice Golem hard 10 build. Be right back. All right, guys, we're back in the solo build. So we have him in regen and immortal. This is the type of build that I would use. Obviously scaling depending on where you are in the game, but for hard level dungeons or just for, making dungeon progression anywhere, we sacrifice quite a bit of his crit rate, his crit damage. We care mostly about landing his debuffs, landing his burn, his instant activation, and, stacking as much HP and resistance on him as possible. So we have 320 accuracy, 365 resist, 201 speed, and 89 on the HP with a regeneration and an immortal set on this champion. Come to mention it, we could actually run triple immortal on this champion for that nice HP boost as well as an alternative build. His masteries, we also redid those. We came down here on the defense. We picked up Unshakable for more resist. Again, this is a dragon hard, an ice golem hard. We're going to show you an ice golem hard in just a moment. We went with the extra HP. We went lay on hands. We came down. We still picked up Master Hexer and Sniper for obvious reasons that we already spoke about. So let's go ahead and try him out. In Ice Golem hard 10, and I'll show you the team. I basically just replaced him with where I normally would have Walking Tomb Drang. The reason I like the idea of Artak, I'm getting a little laggy here, the reason I like the idea of him on the team is because he has the AoE burn activation. So anyway, what am I doing in the summoning portal, man? What is going on with my game right now? All right, guys, this is the team that I normally run Walking Tomb Drang on. We have a resist or lead in Wither the Crown. We have Kymar as a reset seer to kind of get us through the waves without having to cut and wait 20 minutes. So let's see how he does. I'm very curious, especially given that that A3 and the synergy with the passive and stuff like that, right? Keep in mind, we're still getting all that speed bonus, which is really insane, off of that passive. I mean, can't overstate how incredible that is enough, right? So typically we're going to lose Kymar, we're going to lose Seer on this portion, lose Lydia eventually as well, and it's going to be kind of the Wither / Walking Tomb Drang, now Artak, soloing the Ice Golem, or duoing, I guess, the Ice Golem. You can't solo with 2 champions, Ash. Come on, bro. So far, so good. It's nice to have that decrease attack as well, because, boy, this Ice Golem smacks. Now, we do need to have that resist up for obvious reasons. We don't want that heal reduction. It's going to really mitigate and not be cool with a regen set on this champion, right? So far, I would say so good. Let's start instantly activating, right? There we go with one of them. Man, this Ice Golem hard definitely hits hard. I guess that's why they call them hard. So there we go, landing the more of the burns. We're going to come back through again. Whew. Okay, there we go. Looking pretty good so far. Don't want to speak too soon, man. This dude can really hit hard, especially as things go here. So we do have another pretty hard hit there. There's the A3 coming back, 2-time hitter, no big deal. Gonna get a nice heal coming down in a moment here from Wither. Here comes Lydia, now Deado. It's okay. Everything's going pretty well, according to plan. Come in the A3, double-time hitter. He's still alive, counterattack. Get that nice heal down from Wither. And again, the big hit comes in. It's okay. Like how I like to encourage myself as we go. It's okay. Everything's fine. We're good. There he goes. Just got to keep an eye on his health is the obvious kind of factor here, right? Now, if he dies, what I would do is go in and start stacking more HP on him, right? But I will say that, again, everything's looking pretty good here. Destroying max HP. He's going pretty fast, which he ought to be, right? Okay. A burn. Woo! It's getting a little low there, a little bit low for my taste. I will say that given how low his HP is getting with this particular build, I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? I would be a little bit worried about this being a 100% successful run, but clearly he can handle it, you know? So we can make Wither faster, we can make him faster. There's a lot of different ways that we could approach this, but either way, a sub 3-minute Ice Golem hard 10 run, not too shabby. Can we finish this, please? Come on, man. I said sub 3 minutes. Did I curse him? Oh my God, I cursed him. I cursed him. But it's okay. He's getting the job done. Now you can use this, again, as I mentioned earlier. Boy, he's taking a while to land that last. Okay, finally. But not too bad. You can see my best time is 2:56. We would have had that with a little bit better RNG. So Artak can definitely, in one of these burner builds, right, this regen and immortal, he can definitely finish off, you know, any dungeon boss, you know, or I should say at least, you know, Ice Golem and, oh, what is this? Speed, crit rate? Well, yeah, I think I'll keep that and roll it up and just see what happens. Let me show you the third build and final build of the video, guys. Be right back. Oh, guys, before I do, shame on me. I didn't even show you the gear, but basically it's pretty obvious. Speed on the boots, HP percentage on the chest, HP percentage on the gauntlets, and then we're looking for, obviously, accuracy, we're looking for resistance, and we're looking for speed. So speed, accuracy, HP. Speed, accuracy, HP on this champion. So there he goes. I also switched out the amulet to HP as well, right? To really try to get as much HP as we possibly can. We want him fast, because the faster he goes, the more heals we get from the regen and the immortal sets. And of course, we want him with a lot of HP to get bigger heals and stay alive as well. Now I will swap into the last build. All right, guys, the final build of the video, it is a stun set. That's right. He is the king of stun. This would be a great progression build, great for Doom Tower floors, great for basically anywhere you want to stun lock your opponent. So we built him for, this time, a little bit of damage. We were able to get some crit damage on the gauntlet, so that crit damage is a little bit higher here. We took a hit, obviously, on the HP here. Accuracy, I did swap out the banner for accuracy on this build, and I put the crit damage amulet back on him. Here's a quick look. Accuracy on the banner, crit damage on the amulet, that old one from before. HP is still on the ring. We still have speed on the boots, this time perception. We have HP percentage on the chest, perception again, and then the stun set, crit damage on the gauntlets. Just looking for some accuracy, crit rate, crit damage, speed as well in the substats elsewhere. Now, masteries, this is where things are really important. Just to be clear here, in a stun build, you should prioritize accuracy, you should prioritize speed as well. Crit rate and crit damage, really nice to have, obviously, but most importantly, you want to make sure that accuracy is still landing those burns. So, obviously, accuracy not required for the stun set, but we do want that for the burns and the decreased attack. So we came down the defense side, we picked up Harvest to Spare. This is going to give us a 60% chance of placing a leech, helping out with those heals every time that we land those stuns. We also picked up Fearsome Presence. That will bump it up from an 18 to a 23% chance at placing those stuns. Keep in mind, on that A3 ability, we have 2 shots at landing that stun as well on that double hitter with a double effect. If you have any questions about why that is the case, again, I would refer you to the stunning info video that I released a couple weeks ago on the channel. So support tree, we have HP. We went with some extra heals here. I would love to come around and pick up that Master Hexer, but at the same time, I do want a chance to counterattack, especially with Retribution and Deterrence. Why not as well? More A1s is more AoEs on the A1. So we definitely want that, especially for this particular build for obvious reasons. So let's go ahead and give him a shot here in the third build. I wonder what build I'm going to build him in. What build I'm going to build? It's a little redundant there, Ash. I wonder how I'm going to build him on my mini account. Probably going to go with, I don't have a lot of Relentless gear, but I think I would want him in Relentless. But maybe I do throw him in a stun set, because I could definitely use some progression help on that account. Either way, you can stay tuned for that, and I will share, again, that with way worse gear that we see here on my main account. Let me try to find a secret room. I'll be right back. Hey, guys, check it out. Secret Room 2 is HP champions only. This is perfect to test this champion out in a stun set, right? So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. Well, we don't need to use that right away. Let's go ahead and just A1 with Painkeeper. And then we are up already. So let's go in with that A3. Let's slow it down and take a look here. So we land, see that? Stuns on both hits. It was very, very clear to see. And look at that. Dude, we stunned everybody! The whole team is stunned. Do I need to show you guys anything else? I mean, that's the beauty of that ability. You can see that independently land on the first hit and the second hit. So there's proof for you guys. Man, while we bleed through these waves, let's talk a little bit about how cool this champion is. I mean, we say this all the time here on the channel, but these free champions, they're the coolest thing that Planarium does. They really are. It's super cool. I'm enjoying the Call of the Arbiter series, well, the first episode at least. I'm looking forward to the rest. And it's so cool. I know they're going to introduce other characters from the series as well. I'm not sure, and I probably doubt that they'll be free login champions. But, you know, we said it before at the top of this video, right? Which was like 2 hours ago, real time, probably like a half an hour ago for you guys. But when they add a champion like this, I mean, the type of progression, it's really acts as a mechanism. We spoke about this in the first video when they announced this champion. But the type of impact that he can add to an account, a new account especially, right? Mid-game, end-game, you name it, but even new accounts as kind of a catch-up mechanic, right, cannot be overstated. I mean, we often think about endgame. Obviously, I'm highlighting him in endgame here on the channel, but picture being a brand new player right now, or maybe even a few months ago, right? Maybe you started like right after UDK and you get UDK, Ronda, and now, I mean, one of the most amazing damage dealers out there in Artak. I mean, that's some incredible stuff. So guys, and look at this, man. He easily outdamaged, you know, Magnar. I mean, no shade at Magnar. He's an epic champion, but just the power of those burns, not to mention the damage as well. What a cool champion. I'm sure we'll find so many more ways to utilize this amazing kit in so many different areas in the game. So
Yeah.
Before we get into like, why is Artak bugged, broken, OP, like whatever you want to call it, right? Before I get into breaking down your last video and talking about his passive, why don't you start out just by kind of giving your thoughts on this free login legendary champion?
Yeah, so if anyone has caught my content, they'll know that I was pretty, I wouldn't say negative. Well, maybe I am. I really do not like Ultimate Death Knight.
You don't, dude.
I really don't like him.
The only area I disagree with you on, but I love, but I will say this though, man, and I told you this off air too, but one of the things I love most about you is like, you're not afraid to just hate on popular champions, which I really like. I really like that you just tell it how it is, how you think. So yeah, you don't like UDK, but you do like
we don't
Artak?
like him.
Yeah.
We don't like UDK. We kind of accept Ronda was pretty good, but it's still a little bit limited. But this Artak guy, like in my opinion, he's the perfect login champion. You want a champion that everyone can use wherever place they are in the game. If they're early game, mid game, late game, end game, that you feel like you're getting something. Because the last thing you want as an end game player is you get a champion and go, well, it's cool, but I don't use it. Which I feel like that Jetney fusion's a little bit like, you know, as an end game player, you're kind of like, okay, it's cool, but I'm not going to use it. But this guy goes straight into your Hydra team at endgame on any difficulty, and he's probably going to be one of your hardest carry, right? It's not as good as like Supreme Galek, but he's not far away. His son's a little bit too strong for him. It's not far away from that. But even in the early game, like he's triple AoE, stun sets, lots of damage, 100% decreased attack. My free-to-play, he's received my first legendary books on my free-to-play because he's 100% AoE decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown, which is so powerful. So I think they've nailed it with this guy. I think he's not too strong that you're instantly like, this guy needs to be nerfed on Taras level. We don't, you know, it's a bad word to use around these places. Taras.
Yeah, be careful, Saf.
Taras, like, but he's really, really strong. I still think there's some quirks in there with his kit, but I don't really think that reduces his like value at all. I think anyone who gets him probably has a team that you can put him in, and he will be like really good in that team.
Okay, you mentioned stun set. How are you going to run him on your free-to-play? Because I shared a few builds on my main account, and I haven't unlocked him yet. Obviously, haven't built him yet either on my mini account. But what is your favorite build, maybe for your main account and for your free-to-play account?
So I think on my free-to-play, I want to go stun set eventually. I don't actually have any stun set gear on my free-to-play, which is kind of embarrassing. So I have to go farm some. But stun set, I feel like with that Harvest Despair Mastery, so when you stun them, you get the leech on top of the burn. I just feel like he's going to be such a strong Doom Tower carry, get you through all those boss waves and get you through a climbing higher, and that's where you get really good rewards, right? And even in like the normal dungeons, being able to like deal with the wave content, so you can just have one champion that can deal with the boss, then I think he's going to be an extremely hard carry in stun set. So free to play, that's where I'm going. Probably for my main, he's a little bit more I think he's a lot more flexible on the main. It depends on what you put him with. You can put him with another burner and then you never use his A3, and then you probably need to go a lot slower because you can go a lot faster. It's like he's very complicated to build when you start moving outside of the just a standard burn carry. When you start pairing him up with champions like Cecilia Flame Tongue, where she can keep the burns up for him. So as long as he doesn't use the A3, he always has 100% passive. So I'm thinking maybe as a soloer, a lifesteal or regeneration, because he doesn't really have much healing in his kit. His A3 kind of heals, but it doesn't really. But you could also go something like Reflex. If you're not using his A3, Reflex to get more A2 activations in Hydra is probably
that would be
like
sick.
Really crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
that would be sick. I might try him in that build because I ran him with like Cupidus and Venus, but I put him in Relentless, and although it was still impressive, you're right, just going to the activation because there's plenty of burns already out there makes a heck of a lot of sense there. And you mentioned stun set. I'm gonna go the same way on my mini account, and it was you that I learned definitively how stun actually works, which is really sad, Saf, that it has to be basically on your shoulders to figure out, and your teams, right, to figure out like, okay, how does this actually work? How is it actually coded in the game? But maybe just in like a elevator pitch version, tell us why there's a double chance stun on champions like Mighty Uko on the A2, champions like Artak on his A3 double hitter.
Yeah, so if a champion has an ability, normally it's if they have either a conditional ability, like Phenax's A1 doesn't always happen unless it's a debuff, or if there is an element where the second ability or the second hit does something different to the first hit, then in order for them to associate the corresponding effect, so if it's a conditional extra hit, that only happens if it's a debuff. Well, if they put that condition on the first hit, then the first hit would never happen. So what they end up having to do is create two damaging effects within the skill. So I attack once and then I attack again. So I'm doing two sources. This is a slightly different from a ability that hits multiple times that does the same thing. Yeah. Something like a Shemnath is a great example for this.
So if it
has that.
If it read on Purifier, for example, on his A3 Artak, if it read, each hit has a 75% chance and everything else read the same, it would not have the double chance stun?
Correct, yeah, because they can basically make one damaging effect.
Understood.
And that damaging effect does the same thing, but does it twice, because it'll have like damaging effect attacks 2 times. Whereas if it's like the first hit does something, the second hit does something, well, they need to disconnect the second hit from the first hit, because otherwise both hits are going to do the same thing. So you end up having one damaging effect that applies to burn and one damaging effect that restores the maximum HP. It could even be that, I haven't checked it, I don't know if both of them restore the max HP, but I think that's the way it works. So in essence, because you have 2 damaging effects and the way that artifact sets are currently working, but it sounds like they're going to fix it in the next major update. So apologies to all the players who are using this mechanic. I do apologize. Yep. Essentially, they were doing it not on skill usage, but on the time. It was basically on every single effect that dealt damage. So if you had 2 damaging effects, or something like a Shemnath A2, which has 3 damaging effects, every single one would have a chance to roll. Now, I did do extensive testing with this. Like, this took us hours because we actually went in and did, like, I had a 6-star Boltsmith. Don't ask me why I had a 6-star Boltsmith, fully awakened. But I wanted to test if Phantom Touch could proc it, and that didn't seem to do that. So there's inconsistencies in there. But we did spend about 5 to 6 hours testing it, which is the chore. But that's why it happens.
Thank you.
Essentially, if a skill has 2 effects and they need to be disconnected, then it has 2 damaging effects, which then creates 2 chances.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. And on behalf of the community, thank you for putting in that time. So, people like me can sit there and say, oh, based on his research, blah. So I appreciate that. Now, I got a lot of comments on my first guide video. Again, we did Relentless Stun and kind of Regen and Moral Set as well. So 3 builds. But I got a lot of comments asking about, Ash, why aren't you using Frenzy, bro? Like, this guy in Frenzy is going to be broken. Well, here I have him in Frenzy. You guys may have noticed some of the stuff that I was doing in the background. First of all, him going absolute ham, just taking a million turns in a row. We'll get to that in just a moment on the passive. But before that, you may have noticed that Frenzy is not working on this champion. Tell us why Frenzy's not working, because he's losing a lot of HP. But as you guys may have seen, actually, I can go right into Spider here and show you. When he in a Frenzy set, when he loses all of his HP, he's not getting any turn meter fill. So is this because it's losing max HP and it's kind of bugged the way it shows, or why is this happening? Any
So
idea? Because look at
the
right
max
there,
HP,
right there. Yeah, sorry.
the max HP in the visuals in Spider specifically is a little bit like I think there's a bug
It,
visually.
there's got
From
to
what
be
I can
right.
guess.
Because why does he
Yeah,
have
so
no HP?
I've tested it. He actually has the HP. So
Okay.
what you'll find is when you use the A2 on spiders, he loses all of his HP bar visually, and then when he takes damage for the first time, it almost like jumps the HP bar back to 50%. But then he looks like he has no HP. He looks like he's at 1 HP. He does have the HP. It's just all visually wrong. So I don't really sure what it's basically Ultimate Death Knight's visuals problems that we had a couple of months ago, and it took him 6 patches or something like that to fix eventually, where
Okay.
it kept growing and reducing.
Understood. Yep.
That's kind of like, so rest assured, if you're seeing that, you have actually got 50% HP. You just can't see it, which
Well,
is
that's
not
good
really
to
a
know. That's good because
solution.
I was like, "Oh my god, bro, this is this should." It's
Yeah.
funny when I was recording the video like last night, right? And so I'm like, I don't think this is right, but I have no idea what's going on right now, so I just won't comment on it. But of course, the viewers are all like, "What the heck happened there?" So it's
Yeah.
nice to know it's a visual bug. But go back on the frenzy set, like I have Nogdar right now, right, like on the screen, and
Mhm.
he's gonna go in there. You'll see the boost turn meter. He gets an extra turn immediately when he's sacrificing that HP. But we don't see that on we don't see that at all on Artak. So that's why it is because it's this max HP not actually sacrificing
Yeah.
HP or taking damage.
It's the miracle heal problem. So what I mean
Got
by
you.
that is the way that it works in terms of not just Frenzy, but Fury also. A couple of people in the community from my
Yep.
side have been asking about Fury set.
True,
Obviously,
true.
you gain, what is it,
Damage.
50%
Yeah.
damage when you lose HP or when you lower HP. The way that it calculates it, like Frenzy will only activate when you physically lose HP. So we're not talking max HP, because destroying your max HP doesn't actually cause you to take damage, even though you lose HP. You're not actually
Gotcha.
taking any damage. So in order for Frenzy to proc, it calculates as the quantity of health you've lost by that multiplier of, I think, 5% for every 10 HP, is it? Or the other way around, 10% for every 5 HP. I know
I
it's
think
half your HP bar is about a
yeah.
full turn, give or take. That's
Yes.
what I know it
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
So because you're not physically taking damage when you destroy your max HP, you're not gaining any turn meter. So that's why when he gets attacked, it'll say boost turn meter, but when he destroys his HP, you don't see that.
And
There
I'm
has
glad
to
you
be
that was right
physical
on
damage
cue.
loss.
Yeah, that was right on
Yeah.
cue too, because I'm sure people can see the background boost turn meter. Like, what are you talking about? But that's when he's actually taking the damage from the
Correct,
boss in this
yeah.
case. So talk to us about the findings so far, your findings so far on this dude's passive. I mean, we've just watched him. He's in a frenzy set that doesn't work right now in this build.
Yeah.
And he has just taken like a million turns in a row. His turn meter is just like absolutely bonkers right now. In Minnow's Labyrinth, just as an example, it feels like he's getting way more than 100 speed right now. Break down what you found about his passive. Like, how is it working? And do you think it's intended to work this way?
No, it's a bug. So I've done a video on this explaining exactly in
I'm going to
full
link
detail.
that for all the viewers in the pinned comment and the description below as well.
And it's probably a good place for me to say, I'm not calling for a nerf to the new free login champion, guys.
Yes.
I'm not the evil dictator.
Put your spears
I'm not trying to
down. Yeah.
It's like everyone's like, you're telling them to nerf. No, it's a bug. So the way that in my interpretation is passive, and you might have the same interpretation, you might have differently, is when I lose 1% of my HP, I gain 2 speed, which means I can only lose 50% of my max HP. So 50 times 2, the last time I did some basic math, was 100 speed.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. So he should, when he's fully lost all his HP, and if I never use his A3, be running with bonus 100 speed on whatever speed he's running. And obviously, like, the speed buff would multiply that, I guess, by 1.3. Probably, right? Because he's gaining a bonus speed. That's my understanding of the way it works. This is how Razelvarg works. When he uses his A3, every time he places one of those buffs, he just adds 5 speed up until that 100, and it's just an additional stat. That's my understanding of how it should work.
That's how I read it.
What's actually happening, from what I've discovered, is it's a bit of the Fortis issue. When Fortis came out, he did no damage because they were multiplying, not adding. And this is the issue here in reverse. We should be adding 100 speed. We're actually multiplying by 100%. So if I'm running at 200 speed, I'm getting 200 speed back. If I'm running at 300 speed, I'm getting 300 speed back. It's multiplying it and doubling your speed, which is pretty broken.
So I have him, for example, I have him here at like a 240-ish speed right now. So you're telling me he's almost at 500 speed?
So you're running him at 240 speed. Are you running him with the speed buff over there?
I don't think so.
So if he was running without an aura, without a speed buff, he should be getting 480 speed right now because of the way that it's working.
And that seems, and Minnow, I believe, is 90 speed. And you can see that almost exactly equivocates to how many turns he's taking per turn. So he's looking at like 500-ish speed, close to.
Yeah, he should be taking around about 4 ticks to take to a turn, roughly.
I mean, look at this. This is, I mean, you can't see.
It's quite obvious. So
yeah, it's like, wait a second.
Hide a secret. He's like, turn again, turn again, turn again,
turn again. Like, it's like,
chill.
Whoa.
But what's incredibly game breaking about it is if you think, you know, there are champions in the game in Arena that you've built to 400 speed, right? There are 400 speed champions in the game.
Yes.
So if you add 400 speed and then you put a 30% speed aura on it, and then you put a 30% speed buff, his actual speed is 559. Well, that's going to give him a total speed of 1,118.
Okay, so listen. Okay,
I'm not
but here's the thing.
I'm saying it'll break the game.
But yeah, let me just say this though. So obviously, this is something that I'm sure they've already noticed, regardless of you. So again, put down your pitchforks and calm down. But with all that said, it still feels like an incredible passive. You know, it feels like a game-changingly good passive to have. So do you think they're going to fix this soon?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to, because I think it's just not working as intended, right? I mean, there's a difference between a nerf and a bug. When they nerfed Orogrim, they physically took poisons and like Ornn as well, Mephilic Priest Ornn, they took percentage chances away from him. Yeah. They changed his kit. This is just not working like it's read. It's meant to do 100 speed. By the way, it's also doing exactly the same thing for the resistance. So if you've got a 400 resistance champion, you're going to be running at something like 1,000 resistance. So,
oh my gosh, yeah,
it's not designed to work this way. That's the first thing to say. But even if you put that aside, I was looking at a 3-1 speed team that I've got for my Rabbit clan boss team at the moment. I'm running Rorik in my DPS spot, and I worked out that I could replace the Rorik with another standard champion like a Saito, someone who doesn't do any turn meter boosting, at 308 speed. Now, if you want to try and get damage at 308 speed, it's really hard, right? I mean, there's a reason why we run 160 speed arena champions. You lose a lot of damage.
Sure.
But because of his passive, if you could code it into that situation where you can get him into that speed tune, well, he's going to get a third of that speed requirement for free. It's still powerful. It's very good.
It really is. You know,
people are saying you're going to nerf my champ. I don't think it makes any difference. All I think it needs to do is like do what it says on the tin.
Yeah, he's still going to be an incredible champion. Geez, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and giving your thoughts on him, really clarifying what's going on right now, especially with the visual bugs, with the frenzy questions, with the fury questions, with the stun questions, all this stuff, crazy. Right? It really is. Do you have any final thoughts? I mean, I guess for my final thoughts, I'll kind of preface it with what I've mentioned the last 2 videos that I've done on Artak. And to me, it's like, it's a big issue that not a lot of people talk about, Saf, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because new players, like, you know, we've been playing the game for years, right? But new players right now, it's got to be incredibly daunting to look at all the content out there, all the new areas. Like when I started playing Faction Wars was just released and it was like, whoa. But now, like, look at all the areas. Just look at this key screen, dude. And you're like, as a new player, you must be like, oh my God, what is all this junk? But having a champion like Artak, you know, it doesn't solve all those issues, but it is like, in a way, a catch-up mechanic, because imagine having access to him, you know, a few years ago. It's not a direct, you know, correlation, but still, to me, it's like, it's a really awesome thing they're doing with these free champions. So do you look at it the same way in terms of like the dramatic effect that this champion can have on new accounts? Especially.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think what they really do a really bad job is introducing players to the game. Like, it's a topic that's been raised by a few creators where, you know, you go, oh, you've reached level 40, have a Hydra clan boss, and now you're at Sand Devil, and you're like,
what?
I've had, you know, I had a member in my community yesterday going, oh, how do I beat Hydra? And someone, I'm like, you shouldn't be in Hydra. Don't go there at the moment. You're not ready for it. Focus on your clan boss. And they're very good. Like, there's just way too much going on now, and there's not a lot of like, as you say, catch-up mechanics. It's very hard. Even for an end game account for me, I'm in the situation where I've, you know, not really got many Void legendaries. So trying to compete in that high-end arena and trying to then acquire those champions, like I can't even get a Kaimar. And me, I'm looking at now, what's the chance of me getting a Kaimar now? There's like 250 more champions in the game.
Yeah.
Really hard. So getting access to someone like Artak, who We know from a lot of endgame content, HP burn is like the go-to damage source because of the way that they cap HP burn, max HP, and other things. Having a HP-based champion that doesn't need much to stay alive, that also gets massive amounts of defense in that passive. What we didn't talk about the passive is the fact that he's a perfect stun target for clan boss, because you
True.
lower your max HP, so you're lowering the incoming damage, and you're giving yourself 50% more defense, so you're very tanky for free. Makes him a great option for people who are trying to make sort of a budget clan boss team together. So for an early game account, having this champion that you can just go, right, you can go in there, you can carry that team, and you can go in there, you're going to carry that team, you can go and get me like my first sort of one key chest on normal Hydra, just so I can start getting Mithrala. It's really good. Really good.
It's huge, man. Well, thank you so much. Totally agree with everything you said. Curious to see what my listeners or my viewers think so far on this champion, especially if you have him. How have you built him? What has your experience with him been like? And make sure you check out Seth's video. All right, guys, back to the lore before I let you go. Artak, legendary orc. Here we go. Hundreds of years ago, the Galean Pact invaded the kingdom of Karak. It was defeated. After 7 years of war and pillage, the Galean Pact's forces were broken on the battlefield, and tens of thousands of orcs, ogren, lizardmen, and skinwalkers were scattered throughout the continent of Anhelt. But not all of these Galeans were warriors. For many of the Galean Pact, the invasion of Karak was not simply retribution for the Red Crusade, but also a reclamation of what they believed to be their ancestral homelands. Anticipating a glorious victory and the purge of every human in Anhelt, dozens of Galean clans sailed to Karak in their entirety, families and children, traveling alongside hosts of warriors. When the Galean forces were broken, these innocents were exposed to the wrath of the Banner Lords and others, and were forced to flee alongside their routing defenders. Some of the Galean Pact racers suffered the fate, none of the Galean Pact races suffered the fate as much as the orcs. Nearly every orc clan had sailed to Anhelt as part of the invasion, and each clan had to find its own way after the Pact's defeat. Some managed to negotiate with Banner Lords too weakened by the war to fight them, but most were forced to hide on the barren lands or in choking forests. As centuries passed, these isolated clans set about doing what they did best, making do with what they could get. But once the Banner Lords recovered from the Galean War, they found even this meager peace intolerable. It was into this world, a world growing ever smaller as Bannerlord knights raided every orc clan they could find, that Artak was born. Artak was the son of Turin, his clan's warlord, a title that did not fit the orc well, as he was famous amongst the clans as a peacemaker. Despite increasing provocations from the local Karak Duke, Turan refused to allow any of his warriors to retaliate, instead granting humiliating concessions to the Duke's knights. It earned Turan the nickname Peace Lord, a name that Turan himself laughed off, but which boiled Artak's blood. Then one day, the Duke approached Peace Lord Turan with an offer: fight alongside the Duke's forces in a dispute against a neighboring Banner Lord, and the Duke would recognize some of the Turan's territorial claims near one of his cities. Artak begged his father to refuse, arguing that the Duke could not be trusted, but his father was blinded by the promise of a permanent home. Artak's instincts were right. The Duke's forces spent the orcs' lives cheaply, sending them to the worst of the fighting and do the dirtiest deeds. The Duke won his war, but more than half of Turan's warriors were killed, and worst of all, when the King of Karak came down on the Duke for fighting in his own realm, the Duke blamed Turan's clan for instigating the fighting. The Duke cast out Turan and his peoples, breaking his promise and stripping away his land. With his forces depleted, Turan was in no position to resist. Artak was forced to watch his once proud father wither away to a shadow of who he once was before the Peace Lord finally succumbed to illness less than a year after the clan was forced to flee. It was this betrayal that Artak would never forgive. Not long after assuming the title of warlord, Artak sent messengers to every other orc clan that he knew of, calling for a grand gathering, ostensibly an opportunity for trade and competition, but Artak had far greater hopes in mind. Almost every clan agreed to meet. Such gatherings had been called for before, and they were in ancient tradition. So while Artak's people enjoyed the games and traded with other clans, the man himself addressed the other collected warlords. He shouted the injustices that his father had suffered and the unpleasantness and appeasement the Banner Lords would take until the orcs had nothing left at all, as Peace Lord Tehran had been forced to learn. Artak claimed there was no bottom to the greed of the humans, and so he presented an alternative war. Bloody vengeance exacted on the entire realm of Karak. Not every warlord agreed, but none stood against him, and so he walked away from the gathering with an army of revenges. Artak's army fell upon Karak like the plague, slaughtering any who dared to oppose them. The orcs cut a bloody swath through the Banner Lords, achieving success after success, and that led to even greater numbers joining them. All Artak's victories, all his righteous anger, only made it more difficult for him to swallow his pride when his son, Galek, dared to push for mercy to be granted to the humans. Really good story. Guys, thank you so much for watching this epic mammoth episode here on Raid Champion Guides. Hopefully you enjoyed the lore and the builds and enjoyed this free legendary champion. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, guys.